friends, I'm back with another video, and in this one, I will explain you the components of a statement of changes in shareholders' equity with a sample chart of account and components of cash flow statement. Topics to be covered: components of a statement of shareholders' equity, sample chart of account for shareholders' equity, components of cash flow statement. Components of a statement of shareholder equity. The statement of shareholders' equity highlights the business activities that contribute to whether the value of shareholders' equity grows up or down. The statement of shareholders' equity typically includes the following components. Number 1. Preferred stock. This is a special type of stock or ownership stake in a company that offers holders a higher claim on a company's earnings and assets than those who own the company's common stock. Preferred stockholders will typically be entitled to dividends before holders of common stock can receive theirs. Preferred stock is usually listed on the statement of shareholders' equity as par value or face value, which is the amount at which it is issued or redeemable. Holders of preferred stock do not have any voting rights in the issuing company. Number 2. Common stock. This is a type of stock or ownership stake in a company that comes with voting rights on corporate decisions. Common shareholders are lower down on the list of priorities when it comes to paying equity holders. If a company needs to liquidate, holders of common stock will get paid after preferred stockholders and bondholders. Like preferred stock, common stock is typically listed on the statement of shareholders' equity at par value. Number 3. Treasury stock. Treasury stock is stock that the issuing company repurchases. A company might repurchase its own stock in an attempt to avoid a hostile takeover or boost its stock price. Shareholders' equity is reduced by the amount of money spent to repurchase these shares in question. Number 4. Additional paid up capital. It is also known as contributed capital. Additional paid up capital is the excess amount investors pay over the par value of a company's stock. Number 5. Retained earnings. Retained earnings are the total earnings a company has brought in that have not yet been distributed to shareholders. This figure is calculated by subtracting the amount paid out in shareholder dividends from the company's total earnings since inception. A company that's been profitable for quite some time will probably show a large amount of retained earnings. Number 6. Unrealized gains and losses. Unrealized gains and losses reflect the changes in pricing for investments. An unrealized gain occurs when an investment gain in value but hasn't been cashed in. Similarly, an unrealized loss occurs when an investment loses value but has yet to be sold off. Now let's see the chart of accounts of a statement of changes in shareholders' equity. Preferred stock increases when credited. Account group capital stock. Account nature equity affects the statement of changes in equity. Common stock increases when credited. Account group shareholders' equity Account nature equity affects the statement of changes in equity. Treasury stock increase with credit comes under shareholders equity account group. Account nature equity affects the statement of changes in equity. Additional paid up capital increase with credit. Account group common stock. Account nature equity affects the statement of changes in equity. Retained earnings increases when credited. Account group shareholders equity. Nature is equity affects the statement of changes in equity. Unrealized gains and losses increase with credit. Account group accumulated other comprehensive income. Account nature equity affects the statement of changes in equity. Drawing account increases when credited. Account group shareholders equity. Account nature equity affects the statement of changes in equity. Components of cash flow. A cash flow statement has three distinct sections, each of which relates to a particular component, that is operations, investing, and financing of a company's business activities. Cash flow from operations. This section reports the amount of cash from the income statement that was originally reported on an accrual basis. A few of the items included in this section are accounts receivable, accounts payable, and income taxes payable. If a client pays a receivable, it would be recorded as cash from operations. Changes in current assets or current liabilities are recorded as cash flow from operations. Cash flow from investing. This section records the cash flow from sales and purchases of long-term investments like fixed assets that include property, plant, and equipment. Items included in this section are purchases of vehicles, furniture, buildings, or land. Typically, investing transactions generate cash outflows such as capital expenditures for plant, property, and equipment, business acquisitions, and the purchase of investment securities. Cash inflows come from the sale of assets, businesses, and securities. Investors typically monitor capital expenditures used for the maintenance of and additions to a company's physical assets to support the company's operation and competitiveness. In short, investors can see how a company is investing in itself. Cash flow from financing. Debt and equity transactions are reported in this section. Any cash flows that include payment of dividends, the repurchase of sales of stocks, and bonds would be considered cash flow from financing activities. Cash received from taking out a loan or cash used to pay down long-term debt would be recorded in this section. For investors who prefer dividend-paying companies, this section is important since it shows cash dividends paid since cash, not net income, is used to pay dividends to shareholders. That's all for this video. Your feedback will be highly appreciated and will help us to improve the content. Join us in the next video to know about accounting vouchers and its types. Thanks for watching. Do not forget to click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon for latest updates.